The Samsung Radioshack 500 on Fox is brought to you by Radioshack. You've got questions, we've got answers. Bill Elliott in the garage after the first laps he's led this year. And one of many messages to the troops. Some of those messages hit close to home right here in Texas as they resonate all across America. And everyone in the NASCAR community has a lot of pride for our troops, and we welcome those of you watching on American Forces Network today. Elliott Sadler assumes the lead over Jeff Gordon and Rusty Wallace. That's a Ford, a Chevy, and a Dodge.
I'd be pretty impressed with Sadler, Larry. I mean, he started up front. He stayed up front.
He's probably kind of glad Jimmy Spencer got his lap back. You don't have to deal with him now. 42 cars on the lead lap force Bill Elliott in the garage area, so single file restart.
Green flag.
Speed building into turn one.
And off turn two at 170 miles per hour.
I think Jeff Gordon, he's been easing his way toward the front. He's got a pretty fast car.
Well, Ryan Newman in the 12 just blew by his teammate Rusty Wallace in the 2 car. That old Army car, Jerry Nadeau, he's hanging in there in 5th in the 01 car.
Second place Jeff Gordon up ahead of Nadeau. Has not won here. It's one of only 4 racetracks on which Gordon has not won. In fact, Jeff Gordon has not led a lap here since 1997, the first Cup race here.
Last couple of times we've been here, though, Mike, he's been a lot better. He finished second here last year, and I think Jeff's got a pretty good car. The fastest cat right now is right on his back bumper.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. in that 8 car, he's on the move as well, qualified back in 11th. His car is really going through the middle of the corner. Look at Ryan Newman. I mean, he's passed 2 cars in the last 2.5 laps. He moved into second, 12 car.
Yeah, they made the adjustments on that car that time, and that's what you do. If your car's off, you get that caution, get in and work on it. Sometimes you can get right back out there and get to the lead.
Elliott Sadler, the leader, still a lot of jostling well back in the pack, and a couple of drivers like Tony Stewart have tried passes into turn 3 on the outside and then fallen back in line.
Sterling Marlin's having a real problem with his car, guys. I believe he damaged that car when he hit the wall there a little bit ago because he's going backwards. Jeannie, what do you know?
Well, you're exactly right on that second caution. It was that right front fender that was pushed in a little bit. He came in during the pit stop and they pulled it out. And Sterling was saying, hey, the balance of the car is good. It feels good in the corner. But just moments ago on the radio, he said it's getting tighter and tighter. Guys, I think we bent something.
Yeah, as hard as he hit the wall there, I can't imagine it didn't been a ball joint, a tie rod, knocked the toe out, did something to that car. He slapped it pretty good.
Yes, he did. And I'm going to tell you, Dale Earnhardt Jr., we talked about him a minute ago in the Budweiser car, and he just drove by Bobby Labonte. I think those 2 cars were quicker than Jimmy Johnson in the 48. They just couldn't get by him.
You know, the sleeper in this field, I think, is right behind Bobby Labonte, and that's his older brother, Terry, who won the first Winston Cup race here, practiced well and qualified well. He currently runs in 10th.
The old Iceman, he's not going to melt his ice too early.
Nope.
I mean, he has always run good here, Mike. I mean, they came out here and tested, and they're coming off a good run at Bristol. Was up there running in the top 3 when a lap car got him, so they have a little momentum, and he always runs good here. In fact, he's completed every lap of the first 6 races it's been run here.
He's in 10th, 3.7 seconds off the lead, but he is closing up on his younger brother Bobby as Jerry Nadeau drops a spot to Dale Jr. and to Bobby just in front of him.
Listen to this. Terry Labonte's won a race, a pole. He's completed all the laps here. He has 5 top 10 finishes, and his average finish here is a 7th place.
Well, Darrell, you may be tired of hearing it from me, but home field advantage. This is his home racetrack. It's Bobby's home racetrack, and they really seem to shine here.
It makes a difference when you like to go somewhere.
Here's another car that's been moving through the field right here, Matt Kenseth. He's up there battling Rusty Wallace for the 4th position. Matt had a pretty decent qualifying on Friday, 17th. Maybe that don't sound good, but for Matt Kenseth, that's pretty good. Of course, won this race a year ago.
Yeah, Matt won the Picking Up Places Award in NASCAR last year for gaining the most positions over the season. A consequence of not qualifying as well as he'd like. Jimmy Johnson, shaking it around there. Coming off turn 4, Matt.
Well, Mike, he has moved up to 6. Remember, he started the day at the back of the field. He was pretty tight off the corner before that pit stop. Chad Knaus went down on air pressure all the way around. He started with the pressures up since they were starting so far back. Knew they needed to make up some big ground early. They made a wedge adjustment as well. A 14.1 second stop. 4 tires for Johnson. To Steve.
Matt, Bobby Labonte pitted on lap 43, and they lost a few positions on pit road, but not because they had a slow pit stop. They pulled a spring rubber out of the left rear spring, and that takes a little bit longer than your normal 4-tire stop. Dick Bergman.
Tony Stewart just changed ignition boxes, but not for the reason we ordinarily expect. Usually when a driver changes ignition boxes, it's because he's having a problem with the race car's ignition. Stewart's problem was with the tachometer. That's a big gauge that sits on the steering column. It's about 5 inches in diameter, and with the original box, that tachometer gauge was bouncing around back and forth. It was driving Stewart nuts. So he switched boxes, the gauge is fine, he's happy.
And of course, Dick, where that could really be a problem is that's how they gauge pit road speed, is through their tachometer. And evidently, Bobby Labonte, his car is starting to tighten up because they pulled that rubber out of the left rear, softens that left rear spring, holds wedge out of the car to help it turn off the corner.
And we was talking about, you heard us talk about Jimmy Johnson starting with his air pressure up. That makes the car really fast on the get-go. You don't have to wait for the tire pressures to build up. He needed that starting way back. Get a lot of cars while they're all together. Now he needs his car to come in later in a run, so you let the air pressure down. And the car doesn't drive as good with it down, but it makes it better on the long run.
Well, he has caught Rusty Wallace, and that's for 5th place. Remember, Jimmy Johnson started out back after changing an engine after practice.
I'm glad Matt cleared up the fact that he changed 4 tires, Mike, because, I mean, those guys on pit road went from 12th to 8th on the pit stop, still changing 4 tires.
Good stop. Here's our Singular Wireless Virtual Crew Chief question of the day. Vote now from your Singular Wireless phone by sending text message FOX to phone number 191 or visit foxsports.com to vote online, and stay tuned for the results.
Just watching Dave Blaney, you know, coming off of turn 2 over there a moment ago. I believe it was the 74 car got up under him. Looks like they make a little contact. Maybe not. I think he may have just brushed by him and got Blaney up out of the groove. Probably about gave him a heart attack.
From Tony Raines onboard camera, the Aaron's cam.
I'm not so sure they touch, but that's what you can do right there. You can get that nose up under a guy, and his car's a little free right there. It'll shoot out from under you.
And that's about the same thing we saw Jack Sprague do to Steve Park earlier off turn 4 when he spun out.
And it's what Jimmy Johnson is trying to do to Rusty Wallace, but Johnson just is not getting off turn 4 like Rusty is.
You can see his car wiggling right there, Darrell, even in the middle of turn 1 and 2 down there. Like when he picks the throttle up, the rear end's wanting to come around with him.
It's not a comfortable feeling to be driving a car dancing around like that at 200 miles an hour, Steve.
Hey, DW, Terry Labonte's last win was here in March of 1999. It's been 138 races between wins, but crew chief Jim Long said this morning that Terry Labonte is as pumped up as he's ever seen him. You talked about the crash he had in Bristol. Didn't matter. The team was still fired up because they were running in the top 3. Jim Long said, I think we've got something for him today.
It's good to know his favorite food is Kellogg's Flakes.
Imagine that. Hey, Jeff Green's been on the move as well. Green is up into 11th place. And he is the leading Childress car right now. He's got Robbie Gordon just 2 spots behind him, and Kevin Harvick 5 spots back. But good run for the former Busch Series champ so far today. 66 laps complete in Texas.